Okay, so we've already met now with our next presenter, Aivar Ruukel, and he's from Estonia, and he's the founder of Sooma.com. And I'm just giving the floor to you now. If you want, please tell us more about the beautiful wilderness in Estonia.
Thank you, and it's a pleasure. Very excited to be part of this first time ever Do you see me?
Hello, we lost you for a moment there.
My Zoom tells to me that host was muting everyone. But
no, that was not us.
I will share my screen with you. So I have prepared some slides. And yes, I am from Estonia, from Sooma National Park. So Sooma National Park is one of 6 national parks in Estonia. It is established in 1993, so quite soon after Estonia became independent in 1991. And this photo here on my first slide, it is from the typical landscape here in Sooma National Park, which is a bog, peat bog, and a small pool here in a bog. And in my presentation, I will talk about 2 things. First, I would like to share how we are celebrating International Wilderness Week here in Estonia. So we started already previous weekend, and these celebrations are going on, and we are ending next Sunday. And then the second part, I will tell you more about Sooma, the place where I am based, where we do trips, and which has been part of PANPAX, European Wilderness Network. 15 years ago, I was thinking when we get certified by PANPAC, I think it was 2009, so 13 years ago. Oh, it's hard to count. Anyway, this is the plan, and I hope to keep within this time limit. So hopefully at the end you will have also some questions. About myself, I am working as a local guide. We have a small company owned by 3 local men, and we do canoe trips on the rivers, walking on the bogs and in the forest. And we have been in this business now 27 years. And just a little bit about Estonia. I mean, might be that not all of you know a lot about it. So here is a language of ours, which is really different from all Indo-European languages. It belongs to Finno-Ugric languages, and this first word, ödö, means a night work. Jää is an edge of ice, and õllegõht is a beer belly. And the last one I will not try even to translate. We love to sing, so in the photo here in the middle you see our song festivals. These typical song festivals are held in every 5th year, and even during the Soviet occupation it was like a very important gathering for all of us Estonians, so we could sing our songs. And also probably I've heard about the singing revolution, the way we get independent in late 80s, early 90s. And the person here is most probably most famous Estonian. He's a compositor, Pat, and our national flag here is a tricolor. blue, black, and white. So we have quite a lot of nature in Estonia. Population of Estonia is only 1.3 million, but the size of country is as Netherlands. So we have like 15 times less people, like compared to Netherlands, or like the same size of Denmark, but almost 10 times less people. So it means a lot of space for animals. And we have 3 carnivores here. You can see lynx. I am not a photographer, but my lucky day to take a photo from the car when lynx was crossing a road, and I had a camera in my car. So and also the photo right hand with a bear. Same way I took it from my car when driving the main road of Sooma National Park, and the bear was kind of hitchhiking next to the road. So we have at the moment number of lynx not as great as it used to be. So as in nature, the different species and their number, their population is going up and down. So at the moment, also the main food source for lynx, roe deer, is rather down, and the number of lynx is not as high as it was maybe 10 years ago. And bear number is rather good. We have like 600, around 600 bears. Of course, the number of all these animals, like wolves, 150, or maybe if you ask hunters, they say 350. It is always not easy to know the real number. And same way also all these carnivores are hunted, so the number is higher in the autumn when let's say wolves, the wolf hunt starts, and then in the spring when the hunting season is over, it is a totally different number. But the wolf here down, maybe you remember it was a year or a half ago, and some local construction workers was on the building next to the river, and they saw it was already icy, so they saw a dog swimming middle of icy ice pieces in the river, and rather tired, so they helped the dog to take it out. So they rescued it and took it to the veterinary, to the doctor in the town. And what the doctor found out, that it actually they was rescuing a dog, but it was actually wolf. So this wolf became quite famous in our local media, and also a lot of foreign media channels was covering this really nice story, how wolf was rescued from the river. So so we have a lot of space in Estonia. We have 6 national parks and other type of protected areas, nature parks, different program areas. West Estonian archipelago used to be a biosphere UNESCO program area. And in this spring, in May, as we all know, this famous disease is ruling the world. And when the European Day of Parks was celebrated, almost nothing happened in outdoors in the European national parks, but together with local guides and nature tourism entrepreneurs like my colleagues, we decided to have a real outdoors offline, not online event, but offline small guided trips according to the rules, which during COVID are specific, like a limited number of group, keeping the distance. And it was really successful in May. So we was looking with our network of local nature guides and entrepreneurs for a good reason to have something similar, same format in the autumn. And as we all know now, we are celebrating first time the International Wilderness Week, and it was a really perfect fit for us. So now we made the same kind of announcement to our members of our network. And as I said, also already some events have been happened last weekend. All together, there are like in different 40 different localities. Maybe half of them are like on the bogs, as Estonia is very boggy country. But I come to these some of the photos, then you will see. So on the right here is my colleague from Lahemaa National Park, being in the north, who was initiating the celebration of European Day of Parks in May, and now together we also was organizing the celebration of Wilderness Week by small groups, local guided walks, hikes, and gatherings. So some of the photos from last weekend, and meanwhile you get the idea what are the different wilderness, different kind of wilderness in our country. So not all coasts are very wild. A lot of coasts also, here you see grasslands, which are of course grazed and mowed, and but as a wilderness concept is it varies in different countries, so it is still relatively wild if you compare to the coastlands in most of Western Europe, and even in our neighboring countries of Scandinavia. So this photo comes from Vormsi Island, number 4 biggest island of Estonia, and same way as if the new year starts in the 31st of December, it first starts somewhere in the afternoon for us already on the islands of Pacific. So our Wilderness Week celebration here also started on this island of Vormsi already on a Friday. So the first event was held in last Friday. Next photo comes from Highlight. It's a peninsula next to the within the oldest protected area, already in Russian Tsar state times, more than 100 years ago, nearby Vilsandi National Park. In this region, in the White Islands, the first protected area was established. And also this photo comes from Vilsandi National Park, hiking on the coastal areas. And this one is from other national park, Matsalu, which is well known as a bird paradise. It is a bay and a red bed in the northwest of Estonia. So they had some trip to the bay, and also this photo comes. This event is not held yet. It comes next weekend, as this Matsalu area is one of the best areas to see elks, and some of our wilderness events also are focusing on the wildlife. So this one will be coming weekend with a presentation of one nature guide about elks and their habitat, and also they go next morning, hopefully to see them. And there are also a lot of islands in Estonia, so 1,500 something as islands and islets. Most of them, of course, without any population. This one here comes from Osmostar, Odensholm in Swedish. It used to be inhabited by Swedish speakers in 300, 400, 500 years ago, when Estonia was part of the Swedish kingdom, and today there are just not active farming or anything. It's a landscape preserve, and as you see here, some of our wilderness Estonia, you could say it is our different limestone and sandstone from Silurian and other eras, and also these photos are from Osmussaar. Also, we had a small boat trip to see seals. So seal watching in the northern islands next to Lahemaa National Park, Malusi Islands for that case. And this photo I took myself in Sooma. As I mentioned, we do canoe trips on the rivers, so we were celebrating it on the river Lemmijoki in autumn colors. All of the rivers of our national park, they are like in their natural shape, so meandering and never been channelized like most of the rivers in Western world. Also this one from the Emajõe Suursoo, what it is, protected area. You can see the shapes are like it is in the nature, so wild. Another event that is coming this next weekend is about fish in the rivers, and historically we have had a lot of water mills in our rivers. Nowadays, this water hydro power station are not important anymore, and there are a couple of good examples of removing these obstacles and making rivers again passable for fish. So one of the events in northern Estonia, I think Jägala River, will be held about this weekend. And one walk what we already had, again in a Lahemaa National Park, it's next to the Valge. So you see, we have also, as Estonia is really flat, so Sooma region, which I am going to tell soon, it's totally flat. But in the north, where we have all this clint, and also the rivers are falling by the clint down to the sea, and they are in such small waterfalls. So another photo from Lahemaa National Park, which will celebrate 50 years next year. So it's a big event for Estonia, for Lahemaa National Park, of course, but for all nature tourism in our country. And this 50 years was also the first national park in the Soviet Union. And Lahemaa is one area where you can still find some relatively wild forests, so like untouched forest. We have a lot of forest in Estonia, more than half, or like around half of the country used to be covered by forest, and it is kind of forest land statistically, but not a lot of natural forest, old-grown forest is left. So forest ecologists count like 1-2% only out of our forest is something that you could say really untouched. Also in Lahemaa, there are some big boulders like this one. So after Ice Age, we have got these big rocks. As our country don't have mountains or rocks, but we have such a big boulders from that time. And this another photo from walk last weekend on some Tools landscape preserve. And some small guys preparing for a walk to the bog. So this is a very typical landscape in Estonia, peat bogs, and the activity what you see here. This photo was taken by my colleague here in Sooma Park day before yesterday with local school kids. And I think here you can see better. We use shoes actually made for snowshoeing, but you can use them very well also walking on a wet and soft surface of peat bogs. So this is an event or the activity which also was held in many places now during last weekend, and some other bog walks still planned for this next weekend. And the activity, I could say it is kind of national outdoor activity of Estonians, much liked by local people, but also offered for foreigners that come to visit Estonia and to experience our wilderness. So here also some photos from the bog walks, like lady from the left had also presentation day before yesterday on the webinar here on Wilderness Week about wolves of Estonia. And typical for bog islands, the picture on the right are like nests of eagles. So these are really like untouched places for the birds that are rare and looking for nesting places in a really wild, untouched areas. So yeah, I am moving now from overview of these different Wilderness Week hikes to telling you a little bit more about Sooma National Park. So the name itself translates as land of bogs. So in Estonian language is mire or bog, and then maa means land. And as I mentioned, we have been certified by PanPark, and also today, since 2 years ago, we got this listed on the wilderness areas of European Wilderness Society. And I believe 2021 there will be need for a new audit. So you can see the wilderness area here are the bogs, and these bogs, 4 of them, they are part of the national park. So the area in between bogs are forest and river meadows, floodplain meadows. And yeah, I'm not going to details with this data of the Sooma Park. You can also see here a link on the website of European Wilderness Network and read more of it. As a wetland area, we are part of the Ramsar Convention areas. Already before establishing the park in '93, it used to be, since late 80s, listed on the important bird area list of bird life. Of course, it is a Natura 2000 area for European Union Nature Protection Scheme. And the other labels here are related to the tourism and the sustainability, like different schemes that we have been involved, and we have been awarded, like Eden with the Eden Award. And currently Sooma Park is in a process of receiving a Europark certification. I am not sure if this year or next year. So Ramsar network published sustainable tourism report a few years ago. So Sooma is also as one of the example listed there. And something that is really unique here, beside the big peatbogs, are the regular floods of our rivers, our natural rivers. And this time of the year, the flood time, it is called the fifth season. So it's exciting for visitors, maybe not that exciting for local people. And still, I mean, we have a population who live in the places where flood can come to your house. And it's not always very deep, as you can see from here. It covers the meadows, and it covers also some floodplain forests. So it is a time for going to the canoe trip in the river, like they do in Amazon. So Sooma is becoming known like Estonian Amazon for such wild experience. And that is all my slides. So I think we have some time for questions, and thank you very much for this opportunity to share a little bit about wilderness in Estonia. I remove the sharing, yeah, like this.
Thank you very much, Aivar. Very beautiful photos, and we all would like to travel there live, but of course, for now, we just can see the beautiful photos and dream about it and experience the beautifulness of Estonia from our home. And well, if you would like, you can add your email address to the chat as well. And then people who maybe want to contact you can send you a short email with any questions or anything. We also have just a few minutes for the questions. I see that our next panelist, Irina Jonas, is already connected. But before that, maybe if somebody has some questions for Aivar as well. I would like to ask, what time does the fifth season start usually? Is it only in spring or is it in autumn as well?
Usually it is a spring flood, and with a stable winters. Usually it is in March, April. It lasts like 3 weeks, sometimes maybe 4 weeks. If there is less snow, then maybe also 2 weeks. And it requires like snow, but also a quick melting. So if the spring is very slow and snow melts away slowly, then the flood is not that high. But there is always some flood. But now more often even we have floods during winter. And this is because winter is not anymore that stable. So we get maybe some snow, but then in January, the spring comes, and then again winter comes. So one phenomenon here is that floods are more often, they are not as high, and sometimes these floods can also freeze. So and it creates like a natural ice fields, very nice for ice skating and for kick sledding. So if you know, like sleds where you stand on a sled and kick, same way like with a kick bike. We are also having them, and we are renting them and organizing kind of trips on the ice with kick sleds. But it is impossible to plan, so because you don't know when this type of season and nice ice comes on the meadows. But yeah, to answer for you also, I mean, this flooding, the biggest usually is in spring, but it can also overlap with winter, autumn, with heavy rains, and even in summer. We have had, during last 15 years, couple of times we have had floods in August, but these floods are then relatively low compared to spring floods.
I was going to ask you about the impact of climate change on these floods, because I myself am from Lithuania, and we also have at the seaside region, the floods are very common, but due to low snow coverage, like last year, we didn't really have snow at all in winter, and then the floods are also not as common anymore. And then you see that the migrating birds are struggling a little bit because they're usually stopping in the seaside area for us. But I'm glad to hear that the floods are still happening in Estonia. So that's nice.
Yeah, we have been with my colleague also visiting our colleagues in Rusne, in this
yes, that's the
small
place
town.
exactly.
Yeah, next to Nemunas Delta, and of course the reason for flooding is a little bit different because they are next to the sea, and also the wind from the sea influence it. But yeah, that's true. I mean, flooding, it used to be regular, like or kind of like it's one of the seasons. Now it is more moving season.
Okay, well, thank you very much for beautiful discussion. We're overrunning the time a little bit, so I sadly have to stop you here. But of course, all the people who want to ask questions can send you email and also find you on Twitter. I saw that you've been tweeting our Wilderness Week as well, so thank you for that.
Yes, and I am happy to connect with everyone online.
Thank you again for the beautiful presentation, and can't wait to go and visit you live in Estonia.
Bye.